control. Politicians and celebrities make deals behind closed doors, promises broken, and their income soars. Hidden agendas run the grand parade. In the circus, choose a masquerade. Believe me, I wouldn't lie. I've been given money, power, and fame to keep you in line.
Welcome. Today we are going to be talking about, have we become spectators of our own lives? When did this start happening, and how can we reverse this trend? So let's start off with, I'm going to go back to as far back as I can know about, because obviously I'm not that old, but I am pretty old, so I can go back quite a bit. So back in the boomers' time, right? They would, to kind of check out of their lives, they would read newspapers, right? So you're reading a newspaper, you're being told the propaganda of what's going on in the world. It's not really what's happening in the world for the most part. Maybe a local newspaper, fine. But the majority of it, it's going to be some sort of propaganda to get you to believe something. So they have a war somewhere, or they can pass some law to take your rights away. All of that was propaganda. But the boomers loved reading the newspapers and just soaking that in. This is me living. I'm doing something. I know something about life because I'm reading propaganda. I'm not quite a boomer. They really didn't understand what was happening in the world. They weren't really participating as much, but it seems like every generation, people started participating in life less and less and less. So one of the things they used to do also is they would start watching sports on television. And, we've always gone to games in person. You go to a stadium, but you normally go with your friends or your family, and you go experience going to the stadium together. You guys eat, you talk, you laugh, you cheer, but you are socially engaged, right? This is something that you do with your friends. You go see a local game, right? The local high school, right? All that stuff. But no, now people are sitting alone watching sports. And for a time, a lot of people, granted, did not do it alone. A lot of people did it with their friends. But then as they got older, their friends started fading away. They stopped maintaining the relationship because they could still watch the sport and pretend to live vicariously through this entertainment, right? Keep them with bread and circus. Anyways, but before that, guys, as they grew older, girls too, but mainly I'm talking about the guys here. The guys used to not just watch sports. If they watched sports, it was in person with their friends. But they also would do little sports that you can do as an older gentleman that you can still work out. When we look back at old photos and we're looking at 40-year-old men, they were not overweight. I'm not saying that they were super fit or anything. No, they were just not overweight. They were healthy looking. And the reason for that is they would play stuff like table tennis, maybe real tennis occasionally, ping pong, stuff like that you think, this is what the older guys would do. But who do you know that does that now? What person outside of college, this, obviously that's not a professional athlete, is playing sports with their friends in person, right? This was a very common thing, and it started tapering off around the boomer time. But there would still be some Gen X that would do it. Very, very rare to see millennial friends that did that. You know what I mean? It was very, very rare. I think after Gen X kind of all disappeared, I don't see adult males outside of college getting together and doing sports. I'm not even saying that table tennis is this intensive sport or whatever. I'm just saying that it's an active thing that you can do with other people. That's living your life. But when you're watching somebody live their life, what exactly are you doing? It is like a spell, like you're in some sort of a trance, and your energy and your focus of your life is getting sucked out of you, because the only thing we have in this life is our time. And how we use our time and where we put our focus and attention is our life. That is what you are. You are where you put your focus and attention. So then we had, I think this was like maybe millennials, right? It would probably be around millennial time. We got the reality TV. Because Gen X, we didn't really have much television because we were the generation of latchkey kids. So either we were like, there was a few of us maybe who weren't around other kids, and we were like stuck watching shows or whatever alone, or daytime shows or whatever, like summer breaks. But the majority of Gen X kids, I just remember being tethered to the landline. Maybe it's in the kitchen or whatever. And you're just kind of like sitting there talking on like, 3-4-way chat, whatever it was, with your friends. And this was the guys and the girls. We used to do this type of stuff. So we were being social. Now, it's not the same as in person, but I remember we were doing that when we were stuck at home. And then we also, the latchkey kids especially, get home from school, do your homework really fast. We didn't have as much homework as the kids now because it wasn't as terrible. And then we would go outside and we would play outside till the sun went down, or till like around 10 p.m. when they would tell us to go inside. But we were living a life. We were in trees. We were bike riding and, around the neighborhoods. We were visiting other people's homes. We were throwing rocks on our friends' windows to get them to come outside and play with us. And I remember a lot of like sitting on the meter box with like 20 people and chatting it up. And yes, we would watch shows occasionally, but you had a lot of commercials. They were at a set time. So people weren't scrolling mindlessly because there was really nothing that good, to be honest. And that was kind of the best part of the generation, that the TV kind of sucked, especially if you were broke and you didn't have cable. The TV kind of sucked. Things were on at a specific time, and outside of prime time, everything was kind of garbage and you didn't want to watch it. So you would just kind of like leave, right? And go hang out with your friends. Then millennials got hit with reality TV. And I think the first reality TV show was like Anna Nicole Smith, whatever. And then you had The Real World and blah, blah, blah. And that was the real pivotal point where you're looking at regular, boring ass people, like nobody special. I don't think in The Real World, the first one was even like, they weren't even particularly attractive or interesting. They weren't wealthy. They didn't have much going. They were just regular, random people. And they made these regular, random people famous. And once people saw that, it's like there was something that definitely switched with the mentality of people, where they go, all I have to do in life is just literally record myself doing normal things, and then I could become famous too. And the bar started dropping on people's personalities like pretty radically after that. People were commenting on the boring, regular ass lives of literal nobodies like they were commenting on the Olympics, right? This was becoming a national sport. And when that happened, it made the bar for what people wanted to achieve drop even lower. But also it just made us go to like two modes. I would say about maybe 10% of the people are like, oh, I want to do that too. And they tried to film themselves living, which is that even living? If you are filming yourself doing something and you're faking your reactions to something, if you are setting up strategic reactions to something, are you really living your life? Or you're simulating a fake reality to show the world? And what does that do for us, like mentally? And then when you have children growing up, seeing like, this is it, right? This is what the world is. You have to get a phone, film yourself doing something, and then talk really like exaggerated, like really commercial, hyped up, right? Like a lot of the kids, the young kids, when they want to do like YouTube videos or TikToks or whatever, they'll be like super hyped up, like, hey guys, what's up? How's everybody doing? Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. And you see like toddlers doing that now because their parents are not watching them and they're watching these type of shows and it's like rotting their brain. So they're not even enjoying life. And one of the things that they've noticed was that before children used to want toys and the toy market kind of collapsed because kids were getting into this habit of watching other kids. Ryan's Toys reviews. Remember, he was very, very famous before Mr. Beast and stuff. So, like, Ryan's Toy review guy, that kid, that poor kid, he would open toys and pretend to play with them. I don't know if his parents beat him on the side. I'm just saying that. Like, it just didn't look like a good situation. Like, I feel bad for the kid because he always had to be on and he didn't have any choice in the matter. But just imagine your whole life is opening something. He didn't have any friends that I saw. It was just his parents putting a camera on him and his mom and dad kind of like, you better be happy. Isn't that fun? Say it's fun. Like it was mad cringe and crazy to watch. But anyways, this poor kid's doing all this stuff. And then everybody else's kid seemingly was like looking at this stuff going, this is what I have to do. This is life. And then when you would give these kids who grew up watching this stuff a toy, they just said, wow, this is great. Wow, this is so cool. I could do this. Like they were trying to sell you the toy, right? Because that's what they saw. They weren't playing with the toy. They didn't want the toy. The toy wasn't the goal. The goal was trying to get the toy so they can open it up and show everybody that they've got this toy and sell the toy to like another kid. And then they wouldn't play with the toy because the kids didn't know how to play anymore. After like that Ryan Toys review thing became really popular and the kids' brains got rotted out, they didn't want toys. So toy sales plummeted. I don't know if you guys know about that, but like people stopped buying toys. The kids didn't want them because parents were seeing they only wanted to open the toy, make the reaction, and then throw it away and get the next toy because they started becoming addicted to the dopamine rush. When we didn't have dopamine as a primary hormonal like response to things, and dopamine is like cheap and shitty. Like you don't want to be addicted to that. It's like the worst thing ever. You want to be addicted to, well, you don't want to be addicted to anything, but you want to be able to enjoy things that take a long time. Things like walking to a friend's house, trying to make a friend, trying and failing, failing and trying again. Everything in life that is good, you're supposed to do it, fail, do it, fail, do it, fail, do it, fail. That way, when you finally win, you don't just get dopamine, you get all like the hormones that say I can accomplish anything. And then the next time you fail, you know, if you keep trying, you won't fail. And that's the problem when we have a generation that is raised on dopamine, quick, cheap dopamine spikes. They don't want to date each other because like if you're not getting the instant, girls who are single will tell me things like guys will be on a date like, are you going to bang me? And the girl's like, I'm trying to get to know you. What are you talking about? Because they are so dopamine driven that they're like, if I don't get it immediately, I'm not wasting my time. Everything is like, I have to get it now. Now. Like a kid, you take, like if some toy becomes like popular, whatever. Back in the day, like kids would kind of cry for it and you'd have the occasional spoiled kid. But like now, like kids are like, I need to have this. You don't understand or I won't be cool. I don't know what's the new thing. Like it's a labubu or whatever the hell. I don't know what it is. But like they get this obsession. Like they can't calm down until they get it, which is crazy. But anyways, this is all happening because we're not out there living our life. We are not even playing with our own toys. We are not dating people. We are just consuming people dating and thinking that that is real life. The reality is if you want to date someone, you are going to fail a billion times. I went on at least 1,000 first dates, 1,000 first dates. You think I wasn't sick and tired? I kept meeting people with mental illness. Like 2 seconds and I'm like, this is mental illness. We've always had people who were mentally ill, even back in the day. And I'm old as dirt. Even back in the day, they were mentally ill people. They'd look okay. You'd go, okay, I'll go on a date with you. You'd meet up. 10 seconds in, you're like, wow, this can't be fixed. How do I get out of this? Real scary stuff, too. I won't get into that. That's not what this is about. The point is, you're supposed to fail in life, not chase cheap, instant gratifications. No instant dopamine. When you have access to virtually any chick online, half nude or nude, whatever, you are not going to work for it because your dopamine has taken over. So then you don't get like the testosterone hits, and then you need novelty, and novelty is addiction. If you need something new to feel something, to get excited about something, or if you need some sort of drama or whatever, or instant new, that's a cycle that's going to destroy your life. You're not living life anymore. You're just stuck in a very sad, addictive state. And you're usually alone when this is happening because you kind of push people away. People don't want to hang out with someone who's kind of like in that addiction phase. And it's so many people nowadays. So I would say humankind has clearly split into the people who do, and unfortunately do and post. I would say there's maybe 1% of people who do and don't post, and let's say 9 that do and post. So the rest of us, the other 80%, are just watching the people who do and post. Like that 9% of humanity is dictating how we feel about everything. So if that 9% says this is how relationships are, or this is how money is, or this is how whatever is, or this is how, we're going to think this is true because that's all we are exposed to, because we're not going out and seeing regular people. And when somebody is through a screen being kind of like trying to get your dopamine or whatever, they're not going to be 100% honest with you. With like the 2-second TikTok and stuff, they're usually trying to sell you something, buy this supplement or some garbage or whatever it is. But when you go outside and you meet regular, real people, you realize, okay, I mean, not so much anymore. I don't think I've met many real people in the last 10 years. I would say since like 2020, it kind of like tapered off. People kind of really split and went mostly online at 2020. That was like the worst thing to happen to humanity because we were hanging on by a thread as it was. And then it completely tipped and people stopped talking to each other. They started becoming radicalized against each other. Oh boy. Yes. Anyways. So back in the day, I'm not talking about like even boomer time, maybe even before that, it was normal for people to read books and learn real things, real history, right? Real important stuff, how the world works. People would read books. They would learn about stuff from books. You can't, if you get the original book, the original sources, you're going to have a much higher chance of getting something that's not propaganda, right? Especially if it's made in another country that you're not from, because usually propaganda is country specific. So if you can find books published in other countries about your country, you'd probably be better off. That's just a tip. But anyways, so what we're finding is when you stop reading, when you stop having friend groups in real life, friend groups, you start to become more dopamine dependent. So you need your quick fixes. And then you start to need novelty, and you start to kind of like when the body does not have a social circle, like the human body starts to break down. and it will start to protect itself. And one of the reasons, especially when you're addicted to being online or watching whatever it is on the internet that you're not supposed to be watching, if you could become addicted to that, your body will actually convince you that everybody outside is evil, out to get you, gonna give you VD, as some may say. I'm just saying, or whatever it is, right? They're just gonna steal my money. They're all evil. They're all this. They're all that. They're all gold diggers. They're all cheaters. They're all liars. They're all users, or whatever it is. But that's not true. There's actually lots of nice people who are in the world. And I do meet a lot of nice people. I'm not saying that there's nobody. I'm just saying it's a lot rarer because most people are chronically online and their brains have melted. Okay. So I will say that the people who have like the most followers online, I'm not saying all of them, some of them are real people, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the ones that I have met, not all of them, I'm talking about million and plus that I've met, they seem to be like they won't hang out with anyone. They won't make friendship connections, that they're only like, how many followers do you have, to see if they even want to talk to you. It's everything is networking, which is highly narcissistic. But what are you going to do in a society that says your follower count is important to get a job? Like literally, like jobs are looking online and stuff like that. If you have a high follower account, you're more likely to get specific jobs. I mean, think about how insane that is. It used to be like who you know, and now it's like your followers plus who you know. Crazy. Anyways, the other thing is relationships. When people get like a lot of followers online, what they want in a relationship completely changes. A lot of people will date people who have more followers. Men and women do this. I've seen a lot of men who just happen to be very attractive go and date women who are also very attractive but have like way more followers and try to siphon, and they always get followers from that. So it does work, right? So you date or get engaged to a girl with like 2-3 million followers online, and then she posts you, people are curious, you get like a huge up jump in followers, and then you break up with her and you keep the followers, and then you get to charge more for ads. So like there's like in that 1%, or no, not 1%, I would say like the 9% of people who are just like chronically trying to game the system online, that like this is like serious for them, not like some stupid thing they do for like a hobby or because they have another business. But like when their whole thing is influencer, they kind of go nuts with this stuff. And they like won't have hobbies unless they can monetize them. Anything that's not monetizable is useless. I've been at like some dinners when I was working with influencers. Like I was working like the go-between from the brand to the influencer. So I would meet a lot of them. When I was working with them, some of like the ones with the most, these people are narcissists. First of all, let's get that out there. The men and the women were. The men and the women were identically narcissistic. I wouldn't say the women were worse or the men were worse. So like sometimes when you're online and you're watching these people who have like millions and millions of followers, and like try not to watch them, because the more interaction you have with them, the more you realize, I don't want to give this attention. I don't want to support this. And I think we need to go outside and stop supporting the worst of the worst people. There is something wrong when you see a society where like the more narcissistic you are, the more successful you are, because the more likely you are to post about how wonderful you are. And one other thing that I was thinking about lately was how people who are actually intelligent never say something for sure. They're like, I would guess, or I believe this is probably right, or this feels true to me, or whatever. Like people who are actually intelligent are not very super confident, because they know the more you know, the less you know. That's a sign of intelligence. So you can never be certain about anything. You're never 100% certain. And the people who are always certain get more followers. And they're usually the narcissists who are just lying to you. So there'll be someone who's like, this supplement is probably good for like 80% of people in certain circumstances, blah, 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 blah. And they're not going to sell the supplement, but they're more intelligent. They know nuance. And then the next person will be like, this is the supplement that can heal you of everything. It's going to heal you of this and this and this. And like those people, they will sell out everything, get more followers, get the fame, get the women, get everything. But those are the people who are full of shit. That's what they are. They're full of it. They're liars. They are hyper confident in their BS. And the people who are actually intelligent and know stuff are not confident. And we're following the wrong people, right? That's what it comes down to. And that's why you see a lot of these personality types of people fighting with each other, fighting with other personality types. And they'll be like, you own such and such that's actually intellectual, because the other person won't say anything for sure, because an intellectual person knows that they don't know everything, so they can't be confident, right? Which is terrible for society, because the people who are hyper confident but don't have any training or knowledge in something, they don't get like degrees and this and whatever. They're not going to become as, famous back in the day. But since you have anybody who can go online and say anything, now it's the most confident. It's not the person who knows the most. Anyways, so let's see something else. So now let's go into, let's see what this guy, okay, I'm kind of done with that rant. So we're moving on to this rant. And you know how I love talking about like relationship junk. So let's hear this rant. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what he does. You guys can check him out if you're interested. But I just came across this and I thought it was worth us discussing.
What's up, brothers? Hope everyone's doing
wait, hold on.
well out there. I was thinking about something and I wanted to turn the camera on and come out here and share it with you guys and see what you think. There's a bitter pill that a lot of guys out there have a hard time swallowing, but this is important information. If you understand this, I should say the guys that do understand this and they accept it and they get out there and push forward, they do just fine. But the guys that don't understand this, they get destroyed. They get chewed up and spit out. And that is that if you're out there dating, now this may not hold true for people that are in marriages, a lot of times it does hold true in marriages, but if you have a healthy long-term relationship, it may not apply to you. But if you're somebody that's out there dating and trying to meet new people, it definitely applies to you. Anyways, that is that you're not the only guy in the picture.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here.
Commercials. Let me put this on mute while it goes on. Anyways, so what he's kind of like talking about, what he's going to continue explaining is that in his point of view, everybody is dating multiple people, and that there's this, if you're a good person, you're only dating one person at a time, blah, 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 blah. And I don't know if I've said this enough time, but the reality is I don't know why people got this idea of dating one person at a time in modern society. I don't think anyone has ever dated one person at a time in modern society. If you are not religious, and I don't care if you think you're religious, you cannot claim religion or claim morality that's religion-based if you don't go to church. If you do not go to church and read the Bible weekly, do not claim it, right? And a lot of the guys especially will claim wanting a religious girl, but they've never set foot in a church, or it's been years and they're still claiming, I need to have the most religious person. You guys, men have completely given up on religion. They stopped going, and I think and I told you guys, there was like a Norman Rockwell painting, and it was a wife and her two children, and she had an angry face, and she's dragging her two children to church, and he's sitting there watching the game with beer, right? Like that was the degradation of American society. It was men's fault. Sorry, guys. Sorry. You gave up having a good moral society when you gave up the church to women. So what happens when women are alone in the church, right? They're going to talk shit about men. They're going to complain. They're whatever, because you guys gave it up. So then they can finagle the morality. It's like, well, I guess this is not so bad. And nobody's there to push back. The priest isn't going to push back. That even if it's a male priest, and you all know why, because now there's no men giving money in donations. It's only women giving donations to the church. So the church will not continue if he doesn't placate to all the women, right? But if the husbands were there, they would be able to stand on business. But no, they didn't want to go. So we cannot talk about morality and everybody's got to be a virgin and blah, 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 blah. Yes, I believe that, right? I think that's the best way. But I'm also not stupid. I know there's no men in churches. So there is no religion in this country. You guys gave that up. If you guys want to bring it back, I'm for that. Go bring it back. But that starts with get your ass to church. If you want to fix things and put it back the way it used to be, where everybody had morality and everybody was, had like more principles and would do things that are against whatever, go to church if that's what you want. And even coming from like where I come from in Miami, and you would think this is a big city, everybody's a skank. The women when I was growing up were not skanks. You were not allowed to be a skank. They were going to church. The fathers were going to church because they came from Latin culture, right? Like Cubans and stuff like that. So they were very Catholic, forcing the whole family to go to church, all that stuff. But, and the women did not, they might dress like Sofia Vergara, whatever, super tight, whatever. But in Latin culture, it is the culture to dress as sexy as possible to kind of get a guy to marry you as quickly as possible, because you had to get married early, because in Latin culture, if you did not get married early, if you were not the wife, you became the help. And I'm not going to talk about that, but like that's how it kind of works. So you did not want to be the help. So you wanted to get married as soon as possible. Okay, look, how many times have you been to church and do you speak up against the women? Do you do that? You equal the problem, right? We got to stop this. We got to stop this. You cannot demand other people do what you do not participate in doing. All right? We got to stop being that. Okay, let's see what else.
I don't know why every guy is consciously aware of this, but 90% of guys are subconsciously unaware of this. They choose to be unaware. They choose to turn a blind eye. But anytime you're dealing with an issue where a woman is ghosting, flaking, playing hard to get, I'll put it like this. When I was 29 and I experienced single life for the first time, I got out of a 9-year relationship. I didn't know what it was like. Social media was here. Dating apps were here. It was different. And I would meet women. And a lot of times they would play this little cat and mouse game, right? They would be interested in talking and texting, but I had a hard time getting them to meet up. And, eventually they would usually be down with it. Maybe it'd be like a late on a Saturday night. They would just hit me up and want to come over, but eventually they would get over it and they would want to hang out. And I would credit myself. I would say, well, it must be my game. It must be my amazing looks. Somehow I won her over, right? But that was blue pilled. That was stupid. That wasn't the case at all. The truth is, she already had a man when I met her. Now, maybe they were in a real relationship. Maybe they were married. No, they weren't married. Maybe they were in a real relationship. Maybe it was just some guy that was taking her out once or twice a week. But in his mind, that was his lady. And he was putting effort into being with her. He was really...
Okay, so like, moving on from the religion talk, there is no religion in America, all right? I'm sorry. You guys let that slip through the cracks. We got no religion. There's maybe like 2% of people that are religious. We can't keep talking to them because there's not enough of them. You guys are not strong enough. You gotta get out there, If you really want to do that stuff, go have at it. I encourage you all. But anyways, the majority of people, there's no religion, therefore there is no morality. All right. We are living in a post-morality society. There are no rules, right? So when there's no rules, people act differently, right? So, and you also have to expect different things. You can't demand people act how they did before. Those days are over. We don't live there anymore, unfortunately. Maybe they'll come back. They are not back now. So you cannot expect to date someone and have them only date you. That's not realistic in this new world, right? So in this new world, when you're dating people, know that they're dating people, because the people who can date a lot because they can date. All right. And I know that's not fair. That's terrible. I don't want to do that. Blah, 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 blah. There's a tiny percentage of people who will date one person at a time. The chances of you finding them, I'm not going to give you a pipe dream to dream because it's not realistic, right? If you want someone, other people probably want them, and they're going to date and see who's the best choice. Hopefully they're not sleeping around. And I've said this a million times, you can date someone and not sleep with them. It is obviously, I can only speak from my point of view, because if I didn't want to sleep with someone, nobody had a problem dating me if I didn't sleep with them, right? Nobody did. Now, if they're sleeping with somebody else to get that out of their system, that's none of my business because they're not my husband. That's how it is. But I had the privilege, let's just say, to say, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to get to know people. And that's it, right? Get to know people, have friends. All of my boyfriends, except for my husband, came from friend groups. So you have a big group of friends, you're all friends for years, and then maybe you get a crush on someone and you start dating after 4 or 5 years of being in the friend group together. This stuff happens all the time. All of my friends pretty much married other people who were in the friend groups. Oh my gosh. Anyways, so if you're dating someone, they're dating someone. If you don't say, hey, are we exclusive? This is the other thing that pisses me off. I'm sure this guy is dating this girl, let's say, and there's no conversation. Do you want to be exclusive? Are we exclusive? Can I ask you to be my exclusive girlfriend? Right? Now, I don't believe in girlfriends and boyfriends. That's a different thing. But I'm sure 99.99% chance he never said, do you want to be with me exclusively? He just assumed. And that's on him. Because if you're out there in this modern, no moral society, no morality, there's no God in America. I don't know if you've looked around. It's very little. And the people who are religious, they're not dating you because they're not on dating websites. They're not trying to meet people outside their church. They know better. And I know these people and they know better. They will never, ever meet someone who's outside of their church that they didn't know for years. So if you just walk into their church, give them 5, 6, 7 years before anybody trusts you. It is what it is. You can still date within your Discord. Now, I've gone on dates from people that were like in like, we didn't have Discords back then, but like kind of like chat rooms, like nerd chat rooms, right? Like you get to know someone online. It's like, oh, I'm in this town. Oh, I'm also there. Oh, cool. Let's go to the mall. And you'd go walk around the mall with them and show your friends, or like they'd bring their friends, you'd bring your friends, and you'd hang out. And that happens all the time too. Well, back in my time. But you can still meet people online and then try to find like online communities that are in your real life community if you absolutely can. There you go. Look, there's nothing wrong with meeting people online. If that is true, that is awesome. Like I met my husband online. I'm just gonna be honest. I met him online. I did a search, thought he was cute, and I messaged him online. It happens. But anyways, he was dating multiple people, and I was just one of them, right? So like, let's stop being psycho. That's okay.
Really trying to make something happen. I knew nothing about the guy. But there's always another guy in the picture. And when you enter the picture, when a woman's playing hard to get, when she's ghosting, when there's a cat and mouse game going on, usually it's because she finds you attractive and she's looking for the right moment to sneak away and try you out. And if she has a good time with you and you have a good time with her, she'll delete his number and she'll move on to you. They call this monkey branching. I don't like to call it monkey branching because that makes it sound like it's something that's strategic, like they're consciously aware of. But in reality, they're just following their feelings.
This mine.
All right. So the monkey branching thing. God. This is just how people were back in the day. Like if you were attractive back in the day, like my husband was attractive. Now, obviously, I think he's way more attractive than maybe other people think he is, and I don't care. The important thing is I found him attractive. A lot of other people found him attractive. So he wasn't just dating me, and I wasn't an idiot, right? Like I remember talking to one of my girlfriends because I was kind of like one person dates one person, like because I'm like, I was raised super like have to have morals, have to like do everything by the book, have to be super strict, right? Overprotective dad, overprotective. My mom was a virgin until she was married. Like all this stuff like was beaten into me. Like, you don't do that. And like my mom would say, like all her friends were passed around and they never got married and they became old maids and la la la, like whatever. So anyways, so I was like, you don't do that. But then like I was talking to one of my girlfriends and I'm like, every guy I go on a date with, I find out he's dating other people. And then she would just go to me like, what is wrong with you? Like everybody who people wanted, if you want to date them, everybody else is dating them. And they're trying to find the best person to marry. And the only way if somebody like supply and demand, if somebody has a big demand and a, whatever, then I'm sorry, like they're not going to be with one person. They're going to like maybe hold off a little bit to get the best deal they can get before their value goes down with age, of course, whatever. And that's what people are doing. The women that are smart, I guess, are doing that now. And the men have always done it if they had the ability, right? A lot of people who don't have the ability to date multiple people complain about those who do. And we got to calm it down because the reality is, hopefully, we only get married one time, right? And we want to make the best choice possible. And I don't think you need to be sleeping with people, but you definitely need to be getting to know as many people as you can, have a bunch of friends, whatever. I know you guys don't have like big friend groups where you can meet other people's friend groups and like, because sometimes you meet someone and you're like, they're really cool. Why don't you bring your friends? I'm going with my friend to the movies. And maybe the person you initially thought you would like doesn't like you and likes your friend. And back in the day, since we would hang out with people in different friend groups so much, if the guy that you invited out with his friends ended up liking one of your girlfriends, you weren't so butthurt about it because like, that's just how people socialize. People were just like, you're not psycho. You're not a serial killer. So why don't you come and hang out with my friend? We'll see if we get along while we're with friends. It's not even like really a date back then. It was kind of like friend group plus friend group. Go hang out with each other. I remember like there's this guy that I had a crush on. So I invited him and his two best friends to hang out with all of my friends. And it was guys and girls that were my friends, like maybe 10, 20 people, whatever. So it's like, I don't know, 30 people or whatever, like hanging out. We're like going to the mall and whatever. We're nerdy kids, mall kids, right? So we're at the mall and I like this guy. And then he starts hitting on my girlfriend from like, I grew up with her. So I knew her since she was a baby. Starts hitting on her, whatever. And I liked him. He knew I liked him. He liked me originally, but then he met her and he's like, no. Now I like her. What are you going to do? Right? Like it didn't feel good, but what am I going to do? And like literally she comes up to me and she's like, look, I really like him. I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. I know you liked him and stuff like that. And I know whatever, but like you guys didn't even date. You guys were just getting to know each other. Like, so it is what it is. And I was like, you know what? If you guys want that, that's fine. And I still hung out with all his friends and all my friends in their groups, and they were together and whatever. I never kissed him. I never actually went on a date with him. So it's like, am I supposed to be butthurt because every time I like someone and I kind of like someone, they find somebody else that's a better match for them? And he was better with her, not with me. Because once I got to know him a little bit, I was like, oh no, thank you. But this is this is not crazy. This is not bad. You guys, it's normal. You got to have friend groups. Look, she told me before she did something. So like I give her that. If she told me before she did something, that's not a snake. It wasn't the best, but it's not a snake. And if he liked her more than me, it wasn't going to work out with us anyway. So he should be with her. And if she still wanted him, even though that's on them, that's their life, right? No, you can't call dibs on a person. You guys have to calm down unless you're married. Marriage is dibs. Marriage is dibs. If you want to call dibs, put a ring on it or have them put a ring on you. But before that, there's no morality, you guys. That shit is gone. Look where we live. Look at the society. This is the best we can have for friends is that they'll be like, look, I know you like him, but now I like him and he likes me, so I'm sorry. Yeah. This is life. Anyways. Oh my gosh, stop, you guys. Stop with the blue pill maxing. God. Anyways. So, and I remember when I was dating my husband, if I had to go somewhere with my family for the weekend, he was out with another girl. He freaking literally would just tell me about it because he didn't understand, just like many people don't understand that people date one person at a time. He's just like, why would I date one person at a time? Because if he's getting all of these people who want to go on dates with him and he's like, I don't have a girlfriend. What is like, and then he's like, oh, I assumed you have like 50 guys you're dating because you're pretty. So you would have 50 guys that you're dating and that are taking you places. And I'm taking these girls places. And then it was like, what was I going to say? No, you're not allowed to do that. It was literally, I would have no guys if I had this high morality of like, no guy that I like can look at another girl, even though we're not married. No. It's like you have to be married and then you could put dibs on somebody. You got to be married. I'm sorry that we don't live in a religious world. I'm sorry that not everybody is a virgin until marriage. I'm sorry that hot people have more options. I'm sorry that, the people you want, other people want. I'm sorry that people are going to pick the best option. And I'm sorry sometimes people are going to hurt you in the process. This is life. And it's okay. It's fine. Look. We're in a new world. You can't fight it. So just understand it. Understand it. You got to be somebody's best choice. That's all you got to do. So you got to find someone. Look, I'm going to start dating my husband. He's dating all these other hoes. I don't look, nothing to do with, I just kind of like go, okay. And I noticed if I, became free last minute, he would drop everything to come and hang out with me. And I know that means he's telling some other girl he's too busy now to hang out with me. And I know that because I know what it's like to be the other girl who gets told that they're too busy to go on the date now, right? Like anytime somebody you're going to go on a date with cancels right before the date, it's because somebody better said yes or became available. And that's how the world is. You're going to cry. You're going to cry alone, or you're just going to accept this is the world. And whatever. I'm not saying you have to be a whore just because everybody's a whore. You don't have to sleep with people, but you have to date people. You have to date people until you find a good person and you notice that they will drop everything for you. When they drop everything for you, you know you're the top of their list. That's it. For men and for women. And that's like, I don't know. That's like the whole thing. I don't understand why this guy's complaining. Like this just like come on. Oh, they were dating someone else and then they dropped them to date me. Oh my God, cry.
That's what dating is. Guys, dating is not, you find your holy virgin woman and you take her out, you pick her up in the horse and carriage and you take her out with a bouquet of roses that you greet her with and take her to a nice fancy restaurant and a walk on the beach, a walk in the park. And she looks at you and tells you how sweet you are and how great of a guy you are. And, that's not the way it works, right? This is dating. Dating means they're seeing other people. Point blank. Now, the reason why this can be an issue is because a lot of guys out there are either afraid to compete or they're disgusted by the thought of having to compete. And they go into each situation blue-pilled. They go into each, there's a new scenario, a new woman they've met on Tinder, a new woman they've asked out at their gym or whatever. And they start talking to her and they realize, she seems hesitant. What's going on here? And then they do a little bit of investigating and they find out there's some other guy in the picture. And they're devastated. They're heartbroken. They're like, well, how could she do this? Why wouldn't she just be honest with me? That's the game. It's competition. But the thing about it is the other guy is like, he's not solid. He's not firm on the seat. She's looking for somebody else. She's entertaining other people and you're one of the people that she's entertaining. We always hear these things like men are the disposable ones out there in dating, and it's very true. Men pursue women. They bend over backwards. They break their backs for women, do anything they can.
Okay. This guy is so annoying. Okay, no offense to him. But look. I'm so sorry, you guys. I know lots of women who put all their eggs in one basket of men and went over, baked them cookies, try to be nice to his mom, try to help out around the house, do all this stuff. And the guy was not going to ever marry them and had 5 other girls on the side that she didn't know about. You got to stop with this fantasy land. All right. That it's evil men or evil women. There are just people who most people want to bang. I'm sorry. We don't all get to be them. Right. And sometimes a guy or a girl will marry someone who's maybe less attractive, but who they just enjoy being with more than the more attractive ones. And that does happen too. I know it's hard to imagine, but sometimes you're with someone who's very attractive and you're just like, I can't have a conversation with this moron. I can't be in the room with this moron one more time. What am I supposed to talk about when this person loses their looks? What am I going to do with them? And that happens to guys and girls. It does. And then sometimes you find you're perfect mid. You're perfect mid. And you're like, you know what? They're mid. I'm mid. And we can be happily mid together. And then you get married and you have kids. And that's the real Disney movie. That's the real Disney movie, right? That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be, let's find the hottest person. Hot people are boring. You ever talk to a really hot person? What do they have to say? Do you even listen to them? Because the problem with guys is they will gaslight a hot girl that she's interesting. And then as soon as she stops being hot, because everybody is going to age out of hotness. You age out of hotness, so it's like a blink and it's gone, right? Hotness is it's gone so fast. Most of your life will be spent not hot. Unless you're like maybe Brad Pitt or something. Maybe. I don't know. I don't even think he's hot anymore. I don't know who's hot for a long time. I don't know. But if you're basing everything in your life off of this person is hot, you're going to be so miserable, because the second you get married to the hot person that's boring and annoying and has nothing going on other than their looks, it's gonna hit you like a ton of bricks. It's better to be with someone who just love to talk to. And they're hot enough. They're hot enough. They're hot enough that if they gain 10 pounds, 20 pounds, you're still going to like them, right? That's all. That's all that matters. Yeah, and this is guys' fault, because when a hot chick is talking some nonsense and you're like, "Wow, that's so interesting," you just reinforced her to never read a book. And now what? Yes, put this on a t-shirt. 2 mids making it work. It's a beautiful story, you know? And we're all going to become mid and below mid together, right? That's what marriage is. Like, you're just going to decrepit yourselves together. It's going to be so nice. Don't you want to just settle in and just be like decrepit with someone that you really like talking to? Because, hey, look, everything leaves except for the person's personality. So if they got like a good sense of humor, if they can handle like bad things happening and cheer you up when you're down, or can you cheer them up when they're down? If you can just do like those basic things, it's way more valuable than being hot. Just people put so much weight onto being hot because of corn culture. And everybody wants, and plus Instagram, I blame Instagram, because back in the day, like, chicks did not mind dating like a 3 as long as he was like a really good guy from a good family. But then as soon as like they started posting the 3s on Instagram and people started making fun of them, especially other guys getting into their DMs, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're with him. Like, you're so much better than that." And then it fucks with their heads, and then their heads are all mushed out, and they're like, "I can't be with this 3 even though I really like them. Like, everybody's constantly telling me that like I've settled too much. Maybe I have settled too much." Meanwhile, the other guys just want to bang them, like they don't want to marry them. But this 3 is like a solid dude or solid chick, and they actually are nice to hang out with, you know? They're nice to grow old with. They're nice to raise children with, to have a family with. But no, everybody online is making fun of you for posting that 3, and now you got to go back out there, get ran through, get your heart broken, get your brain all mushed out, get on a lot of SSRIs, just because the comments on how many times does like a pretty decent guy, or like even a successful guy, whatever, post his mid sweet girl and all the comments are just trashing him, like, "Oh my God, I can't believe all that work for that. All that work for that mid." You guys got to calm it down. These hot people are not that interesting. They're not that fun, right? I have like some guy friends who can bang anything, right? They're rich, they're nice enough, they're funny enough, right? They can bang whoever they want. And they're constantly telling me and my husband about how these hot chicks just lay there and ask for fancy bags and trips while they're trying to bone them. Imagine. Do you know how insane that is? And this is normal to them because nobody tells them this is not how normal humans behave. But they don't know that, and nobody tells them anything because they're just like, "Yeah, babe, whatever, I'll get you that bag. Just hold still." I'm sorry, you guys. I would be happy, just a couple of 3s hanging out, watching, some conspiracy theories online and reading some books together under a tree. You don't need to be with the hottest people in the world. Don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking that your mid isn't awesome. If your mid makes you happy, just go into the freaking comments and destroy everyone. Destroy them for your mid, because your mid matters.
To try to win the woman over, women can just swap you out. It's very easy for them to do it. You're a woman watching this video. If you're somebody that does go one man at a time and you're a good classic woman, I'm not talking about you. You don't have to argue, but we're talking about the 75 to 80% out there that are doing this. And this is tough because in 2025, in 1999, doesn't matter. There is no government or religious institution out there that binds a man and a woman together. Okay, sure, we have marriage, but marriage is a business contract that can be breached and broken at any given moment. Nobody cares. It means very little. I mean, it may have sentimental value to you and your family, but in the grand scheme of things, in society, it doesn't mean much. And we're all aware of this, right? So love is fleeting. A man and a woman get married. And if that love is disappearing and she's craving it somewhere else, even if the sexual satisfaction is disappearing and she's craving that validation, she's craving validation somewhere else. You know, a lot of times she'll just crack open the door a little bit. You know, it's not that she wants to leave. It's not that she wants to cheat. She just wants to crack the door open a little bit and just get a little bit of validation. Problem is, when she does that, again, it's a new guy in the picture. And he's just a normal guy, right? And he sees her as somebody that he could potentially be with. So he's pursuing her. And if she likes him and he likes her, she may just leave. Or maybe she just might have sex with him once or multiple times. You know, married people probably have more sex than single people. And I'm not talking about with each other. By and large, in the United States, I think married couples have more sex outside of their marriage than single people have, you know, even though they have the freedom to do it. They're just sneaky about it. It's just true, man. It's just true. You ever worked at a company and you kind of see who's hooking up with who? You know, how many, I mean, I know for a fact right now, if I wanted to get laid, if I wanted to go through my phone and pick somebody to hook up with, the easiest, and I don't mean this, I guess there's no way to say this in like a nice way, but the easiest ones to get with would be married women. They're desperate housewives. They need it bad.
All right, so let's talk about this. Look, this dude is wrong and this dude is not wrong. Let me tell you why and why not. First, a lot of people that I know, good, happily married people, their dudes can't perform anymore, right? I'm not trying to blame them or anything. I'm just saying that there's something in the air, the water, maybe the addiction to the corn, whatever, when they were younger, and then like as they get older, whatever. So like it's always been that men's libido drops and that women's rises as they get older. But the problem is that it's dropping so far with men that and the rise for women is getting so much higher than it was before. And a lot of women, as they get older, they're getting on like hormone therapy, which makes them more and more like intensively in the mood, if you will. So then you have like this big divide where the guy is like not interested or he can't even get it up. And the girl's like hyper interested and they're fighting about it. So then I see a lot of like that happening. And then like somebody from like the Ashley Madison website wants to do a podcast with me. And they were talking about like how like this is one of the reasons why their website is becoming so popular is because of the drop in testosterone. Right? Look, my husband has no problem with that, thank God. But a lot of people, he takes a lot of supplements too, so I'm definitely sure like that helps. But like everybody I know that's married, they have a huge problem with this. Like their dudes can't do anything, and the women are on hormone therapy to like replenish their hormones. So they're like hormone horny monsters, and these men are just like, I can't physically do anything. And they're like not interested at all, which is really hard for people who don't get it regularly to understand that does happen to men. Because when you're like a young dude or you're a single dude and you're access to your dopamine naked people on the internet, you can't fathom what it's like to have it there and then not be able to do anything about it. But it happens a lot. So people have to be understanding about that. So some of these dudes are just like, they're letting their chicks do whatever, right? Because they don't feel anything for them. And they're just like, they remember what it was like when they felt something, how crazy they went. So they're like, look, if you're that crazy, just go and, you know, let's not ruin the family, go. So like, that's one of the reasons why the Ashley Madison site has gone crazy, which is, it's disgusting, you guys. But what are the things that ruin testosterone that I keep telling you guys to stay the heck away from? Not getting enough sleep, not getting enough sun, not exercising in the sun. You have to do that if you're a man. I'm so sorry, but please do that. Because you don't want to be in the situation where you have to let your wife go bang somebody else. It's so disgusting. No offense if that's your choice, but I find it disgusting. Anyways, get some sun. Don't drink alcohol. Alcohol was designed first. Mead was invented to be medicinal, right? Mead. If you look up like the original mead, which is like the origin of beer, whatever, didn't have hops in it. Hops is highly estrogenic. It's estrogenic and it's a sedative. Sedative estrogenic. Do you understand what that's going to do to you? And you keep drinking and you're like, this is going to be great. I'm going to be like, I'm having a good time because some movie told you it was a good time. Or, Al Bundy used to sit and watch the game drinking a beer or whatever. And now you think this is what a man does. No. Stop with the estrogen. Don't have your soy. Start eating meat and liver. Get your sun. You need to sun your whole body to get testosterone. You guys don't even go outside anymore. You can't be with a shirt on the beach. I don't care how big you are. Take the freaking shirt off. If you ever want to be fit and have testosterone, take the shirt off. I don't care how white you are. And trust me, I am married to like the whiter person I've ever seen. And it is blinding. Take the shirt off. I don't care how big your gut is. I don't care what. If you want to have a good, long, healthy marriage, you need to get it up, right? Especially when women's libido starts rising when they're older. You need to do this. So please get some sun. Take your shirt off. Men can legally walk outside with no shirts. Take your shirt off. Go for a run in the sun. Don't do it at night because I know you guys are like, I'll do it when I get back from work in the nighttime so nobody sees me. No, it needs to be in the sun. Do it at lunchtime. Take 10 minutes of your lunchtime to walk around in the sun. All right. After you eat, walk around in the sun. I don't care where you are. Make it happen. Oh, I'm sorry. Is the snow too cold? That sounds like cope to me. You're going to go out there and you're going to do it. Yeah. So anyways. Oh my God. No, I would say women start getting their libidos when they're like 35. Yeah. It's happening. And that's like usually like they're married, whatever, and they're like more. And their husbands are like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's so sad. I don't know. Like, you don't know what, like, if you think men are annoying when they're horny, you've got to see an older horny woman. Like, these bitches, they're pissed. They are mean about it. They don't have like men have been socialized to calm down. Like a man's not going to go, you useless, whatever. You're not, blah, blah, blah. But a woman will do that because like women have like literally no respect taught to them towards men in any media. Look at all media. It's all like women yelling at men, calling them losers. So all these women that are socialized in this, imagine, and now they have hormone problems that make them violently horny. Like if they were stronger than the men would be pressing charges, okay? Don't think you understand. Anyways, so they sent me all these cities, top cities: Miami, Orlando, St. Louis, Cincinnati. These are all the top cities where married people are seeking extra relations, right? Las Vegas, Atlanta, Richmond, St. Paul, Tampa, Buffalo, Pittsburgh. I don't know, Spokane, okay? Cleveland, Denver, Tucson, Des Moines, Colorado Springs, Reno, Baton Rouge. So that's just basically every big city in the United States, okay? Those are the top places, the top cities last year on these seeking arrangement type weirdo sites. I just want you to know about it because you gotta get up to speed. Anyways, there's also, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything to you. I've seen a lot of people at my old job hitting on married women and married men, and it was just like, this is normal for work. The number one place that people cheat is the office. So just like, if you're a dude and you know you're a good dude and you're like, this is a good girl, make enough so that she can stay home. That's all I'm saying. Because you don't want to have a fight with her because you can't get it up one day and she's angry and upset, complains to the girls at the office, and that, thirsty ass dude overhears and starts laying on thick to her. You don't want that. So just keep her out of the office and get your testosterone up. There's no such thing as too much for a man. I will say that. Yeah, I think, look, I don't want to make any judgment calls, but I feel like this is true. Do you guys think that this is true? I feel like this is true. Like, because a lot of them were married when it came out. And that's like super mad cringe. So that means like there's some dude at home that just wasn't laying it down. Yeah, like, look, chicks are disgusting. If you like, I hate how the stereotypes are always like men being all over chicks. Look, I've had guys flirt with me and they're super respectful. They keep their distance. They never like try to touch you. They, oh, you look nice today. And like, there's a fear in there, right? Because like, they're like told to be respectful. Women are not told to be respectful when they hit on someone. And you guys know this. There's no respect from women towards men, and they will like I just remember like when Steven was young and cute and hot and whatever, and we'd go places and he would see like the older girls from his job and they would just disrespect him. They're like grabbing his butt cheeks and stuff. I'm just like, what the heck is going on? And he just thought it was fine. I'm like, they're molesting, like this is illegal. But whatever, he was fine with it because he's one of those.
And that's what dating does to us, right? That's what not having an institution that holds a man and a woman together, that binds a man and a woman together, not having that causes this, and you can just expect it to take place. So you don't really know if you're the first guy, the last guy, or somewhere in between. You never really have any clue. Right? I've met women who I was attracted to and I would talk to. They may look me up on Messenger or whatever. I don't even ask for the number. We're messaging back and forth for several days or weeks, and I don't find out till a month in that they're married. Right? I've had that happen before. It's an awkward question. When somebody's coming on to you, you don't ask them if they're married. You just assume they're not, right? But they'll do shit like that. And what I want to talk about also is this concept of the 80-20 rule. For those of you that are still here, it's kind of a shift, but it's related to the same topic. A lot of people are robotic about this. They're so systematic, they just take it as a literal term. They think the very top 20% of men, the exact 20% of men at the top are hooking up with basically all the women. But that's not the way it works. Okay? Your competition are the people that are in your bracket. Right now, there's some lady working at Burger King, BBW, smokes cigarettes, greasy ass hair, been wearing the same clothes for the last 3 days. And she's married with 2 kids with the janitor of Springfield High. He's 5'6", damn near anorexic looking, got some good vascularity in his arms though. Wears a pair of baggy Wrangler jeans and a sleeveless shirt and got a set of keys on the side of his hip. Pushes the cart around with the mop and the broom and all the cleaning supplies. But in his bracket, he's the alpha. Right? He's the alpha of that bracket. And then you got a bracket way up at the top. You got Tom Brady and Giselle. Physically gifted models, athletes, scholars, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. That's a different bracket. Tom Brady's an alpha of that bracket, right? But there's 20 to 30 brackets somewhere in between those 2 brackets. That's the bottom and the top. And to give you an example of how this works, let's say you got 5 girls and they go to a hotel room and they meet an NBA basketball team, and just the starting 5. On that starting 5, you got the star of the team. He's the fucking superstar. He scores 35 points a game. A-list celebrity, movie star. And then you got 4 role players. All 5 of those women want to hook up with the superstar. He can have all 5 of them at once, and his buddies might get left out. That's the 80-20 rule. It doesn't mean that, I should say, doesn't mean that the top 20% get 80% of the women. It means that the top 20% of each bracket. So, there's guys in the top bracket. There's guys playing professional sports that aren't really getting much action because they're in a bracket full of Tom Brady's, right? And he's stealing all the women. So, if that makes sense to you, it's kind of difficult to explain, but if you want to succeed, you got to understand it's all about intersexual competition. A lot of guys want to say it's not competition. The only competition is myself. But there's always another man in the picture.
Okay, so I will say this about, like the girls who like going on girls' trips. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Like, if you have a girl that goes on girls' trips, you're an idiot. If you do not make that a marriage rule, that's not allowed, you're asking for it. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised when it happens. If it happens, that's on you, buddy. You didn't lay down the law before the marriage. What? Like, you can't, after you get married, say, hey, look, these are the, no. The rules are before the marriage. The rules are in order to have the marriage. So let me just make that very clear to you. If a girl is going on a girl's trip, right? And I can understand, like, if this is a good girl, whatever, she says, I want to go with you. My friends are going. Come with me. And you go, you know what? I trust you. I know you don't do anything like that, whatever, let her go because she's not like that. Her friends are not like, whatever. Like, you're still an idiot, but whatever. There's definitely exceptions. There are women that will not do that, but those are the same women that will say, come, I really want you to go. I don't want to go alone. I don't want to go with just my friends. I really want to go, but I need you to come with me. They're more like, those types of people. Anyways, but if you have one who's like really excited to go to a girls' trip and does not want you there, and you were too dumb, or you just didn't know that this needs to be set up before the marriage, now it's come up. I'm telling you, if she goes, there's no going back. Like, what she did. Like, and if you want to stay married, that's on you. Like, this is a new world. What the hell are we going to do? But just know, yes, she did. And like he was saying, like the 80-20 rule, whatever. So let's say she goes to some resort. Whatever's the top 20% looking guy at the resort, that's going to be the guy that she's going to be with, right? That's just how it is. And the same thing for the boys' trips. We've all seen the movies where the boys go on like to Vegas or whatever, to have the boys' trip. Like, if the hottest chick that they meet on that trip, they're going to try to bang. If not, they're going to bang, or they're going to pay for like a prostitute. Like, that's just like, if you allow your spouse to go on one of those things, you are basically agreeing with what's going to happen. And by all means, if that's your thing, I'm seeing this trend where a lot of people are like, I don't believe in monogamy. So, balls to the walls, I guess, it is what it is. Oh yeah, a hunting trip, like a bareback mountain trip. Like, you got to be worried about that now, because did you hear about that story? Yeah, there's like a TikTok story with like there was a group of friends. It was married couples, right? Maybe like 5 guys and 5 girls. Okay, and they each had their TikToks and they were each talking about the story. So the guys were going on fishing trips, and then one of the girls found the guy's fishing rods hidden in the garage, and she's like, oh no, he didn't bring his fishing rods. So, like, the girls tracked it, whatever, and then they showed up to drop off the fishing rods. They wanted to surprise their husbands because, they go to the place. I guess they could get the room key because, like, they have the same last name or whatever. I don't know what it is, or they just gave them the room key. You guys this looks fine to me, I guess. Anyways, they get the room key. They open the door. Did you guys see that? I don't know. It's been years. I don't know if I could find it, but like, go and find it. Anyway, so they go into and all 5 dudes are banging each other. All 5 dudes. And the girls are like sick. They're like throwing up. They have babies at home. They're, women pretend to be real woke until they see a guy do that. Suddenly they're not so woke. It is what it is, bro. Yeah. So you got to be careful about everybody nowadays. You got to be careful. People are nuts. People are crazy. And there's a lot of stories like that. Brokeback Mountain is a documentary. I mean, I've never seen Brokeback Mountain, but I assume like that stuff happens all the time. And I'm sure this happens too. But you know what? What if they're both doing it? What if he's with his dude friends doing it and then she's with her side piece doing it? Like people are sick now. So you got to be really careful. So that's why I don't like to trust but verify. Set up cameras, right? Let them know, because I think it's illegal to videotape someone if they don't know there's a camera there. Put up a few signs. Hey, you're being watched, and watch them. Anyways, so be careful, guys. I know it's hard out there. It is hard out there, but, it doesn't matter how much, like, degeneracy's in the world. You don't have to participate in it. And yes, lots of people do this type of degenerate stuff. And, just because somebody does something evil to you doesn't mean you have to do it too or participate. And I don't know why this is relevant, but I watched Stranger Things. Is there a scene that I should know about? Like where some dudes were supposed to be on a fishing trip? Is that coming up? I haven't seen the new season, so don't blow it for me. But like, is there something inappropriate like that? Because I want to know. What is up? Anyways, let's see what else he has.
So you have to be the alpha of that bracket if you want to succeed. Now, at the end of the day, it's all about emotionalism. It's all about who she likes the most. So being that alpha ain't too difficult. You just kind of have to have really the smarts to understand when a woman actually likes you. And then just ride the wave. Let it happen. But she's going to go with the man that brings her the most stimulation. But I don't know. I think the main reason why I wanted to talk about this subject is because I think the biggest reason why guys tend to fail out there is because they'll start talking to a woman, they're getting mixed signals, and they find out she's talking to somebody else. And suddenly you feel like, you're doing whatever you can to try to, like, she's slipping away and you're trying to keep her, you're trying to make sure she doesn't get too far, But in reality, you got to stand your fucking ground. You got to be a little bit cocky about the situation and understand that competition is natural. Mm-hmm. I think we wish it wasn't this way, but it is.
Yeah. Look, if you think you're going to get married and stop fighting off competition, well, I am so sadly to be the one to have to tell you the truth about the world. You got to fight other people off to the day you die. I'm serious. Sometimes there'll be some people trying to steal them on your funeral. So be real careful out there. And yes, track them, put like whatever you can on them, but make sure you let them know that you'll be doing this before you get married. Just be like, look, I have a rule. If you want marriage, I get to track you at all times and show up at all times. I need there to be some fear. Look, there was one time Steven went on some like medical conference thing. He's like, do you want to go with me? And I'm like, ugh, the thought of like having to sit in a hotel room watching crappy hotel shows all day while he's like at the conference, it just seemed boring to me. So I'm like, no, I don't want to go. And then he sends me this photo where he's like at the table. It's like a round table with 10 people, right? And he's in the middle with like all chicks, all hoes. And he's in the middle and he sends me this photo and I'm just like, what the like never again. So now I got to get my lazy ass up and go to all the stupid, boring medical. And I hate medical conferences. They're so boring, but you got to do it because this is the new world. And all of those hoes were married They got these dumbass husbands at home, just like I was this dumbass wife at home. And like, I don't know what the hell they're doing over there, but it's not good. So you got to make sure you go over there. I have never actually I'm not asking for one. I've never actually received one. I think that was before my time. And I think I'm too old for that. And also, I think people would be scared too, because I'd probably post it somewhere. I don't know, and make fun of them. Please, no. Please, thank you, but no thank you. No thank you. But anyways, so, MLD sends me like boob pictures of like every chick that he's like, what do you think? This one's like 22. And I'm like, great. Like, I don't really need to see this, but people love showing off that stuff. I don't get it. I've never wanted to receive. You know what? I did ask Steven one time, like, how come you never sent me one? He's like, I would never send anybody that. Why would I want that out there? I don't want that stuff out there. Like, that's so weird. And I'm like the same, like, I would never send it. But like, if somebody wants to send, I'll look at it. I will give you a rating. This is like a 2, buddy. Try harder. I don't know. Not anymore. Like, but before. What? Anyways, let's see what else he has to say.
It's this way. So don't worry about what she's doing. Don't worry about why she's ghosting. In fact, you might be the one that's intruding. You might be the one that's pulling her away from the guy that she's with. So keep that in mind. But, oh yeah, I remembered what I wanted to say. It's almost like, so where you're at and the women that you can get with, the women that you have access to, if you're a guy that's out there and you're trying to navigate through the dating market, if you're at the very bottom and you're a total loser, that's just the bracket that you're in. So you can date women in that bracket. All you have to do is be the alpha of that bracket. But when you improve yourself, it doesn't necessarily mean you get more women. And this is the big thing. Becoming a top 20% man doesn't mean that you suddenly get women. It means that you're now in the bracket with top 20% men and your competition just got a lot more difficult. It's almost like being a high school athlete. In high school, you might be the star of the team, right? There's really no competition. You're the best. And you get recruited to a college. And on the college team, you're one of the best. You're pretty good. You're not the best, but you're up there. You're one injury away from never playing again, but you're up there. But the competition is stiff. You're in a different bracket. Maybe you get drafted to a professional league. And, in the professional league, you're fighting for a spot. You're worth millions of dollars.
Okay, he's giving sports references. You guys, I can't handle that stuff. But yeah, data bracket down. You'll be good to go. Look, it's all about who like what you have to go by, like hobbies. I think people need to go outside and do some hobbies with other people. And then in that bracket, like try to do hobbies where like the dudes that go are not that attractive, or there's not that many dudes doing it, but there's chicks. So one thing that I would do if I was a young man of today is I would position myself as a photographer for influencers. Let me tell you, all the photographers for influencers, they didn't charge a lot of money, right? They always had work though. And you are having access to the most attractive women, right? Like you were able to build rapport, a friendship with them. And then you can go to because like, of course, every time they go to an influencer event, they're going to invite their photographer. So you're going to get paid. You're going to go around with them. You're going to get introduced to even hotter chicks and maybe get to photograph even hotter chicks. The guys who were photographers doing influencers, if they weren't charging an exorbitant amount, like if you're charging like $80 an hour to do photos, $100 an hour to do photos, something like that, and you're a dude, you were in a place with hardly any dudes. And if you could take a great photo, I'm just giving you guys some game, take it or leave it, I don't care. If you could take a great photo of these really hot chicks that a lot of them were just like daddy's money. So they don't have access to a lot of guys. The only guy that they have access to is their dad and maybe their brothers. and they have a bunch of girlfriends. So these are not girls who are like out in clubs. These are girls who are, they come for money. They're very attractive, and they just need someone who's affordable to take photos of them. They will pay you to hang out with them and their friends at these events. And I'm telling you, the guys were basic dudes. They were not overweight, but they were not like muscular or anything like that. They were just regular body dudes, regular face dudes, nothing particular, but they were very nice. And thank you. They were very nice, and they were very, like helping the girls with their business and meeting the other girls. And they were constantly dating all the most beautiful top 1% looking young girls. I would say. So I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, if I'm a dude, I'm going to be a photographer for influencers. Hands down, there's nothing better. A photographer, or maybe now a videographer for influencers. Yeah. And just get in with the girls and have them refer you to other girls. And now that's your bracket. Look, if you guys don't listen to that, I can't help you, because I just gave you the best game. None of these people said that stuff. I'm telling you the real stuff. These were regular dudes. Nothing exciting. Let me tell you what kind of camera you can get, because let's get you guys hooked up. I'm serious about this. We gotta get this. What is that freaking camera called? Sony something. I think it's like this one, like the newest version of this one. All right. I think this one would be good. There's one that's like a little more expensive. Okay, here. Like this one, $800, right? $800. Get this camera. It's a small camera. You can get one that's slightly more expensive, that has like where you can change the lenses so you're more professional. GoPro is not very good quality. I'm going to go against that one. But there's one that's like maybe $1,000, like when you get better, you can upgrade to that one. And this is all you need. Like, this is the mirrorless camera that like these dudes were using for, taking photos and videos and short form videos of influencers. So this is perfect. So I'm just saying, put you on some game. You could do a payment for $290 for 3 months. Look at that. Look at that. You can get all the equipment stuff for this much. You can get this equipment for that much. Like, that's everything, you guys. That's everything you need. Take some classes. No, it doesn't benefit women. You guys, I'm trying to explain it to you. You're trying to get a really hot, sheltered girlfriend. And I'm telling you, a lot of the influencers that are not travel influencers, I'm going to have to specify. If they're travel influencers, I'm not going to vouch for them. But there's a lot of like fashion influencers that I met, and they're just using daddy's money to fund their influencer thing. They don't go out. A lot of them were just in church. They didn't know any guys. They didn't have many friends. So their friends were other female influencers. They did not have access to guys. They didn't have guy friends. There's not that many guy influencers. A few girls had boyfriends that they brought to the events, but it was like 2 girls. That was it. I didn't see many guys going to events because they kind of thought like that's for girls. But like, if you're a dude, bam, I'm telling you. It's not that much money, you guys. Save up. There's like a $500 version. Just get like the Sony one. Just get that. Like any of their mirrorless cameras. If you get the one that doesn't have the interchangeable lens, it's cheaper. Okay, I think it's like half the price. Yeah, a lot of influencers they're alone. Like, come on. They're like, these girls are beautiful too. And remember, if you're a nice, beautiful girl, you're not going to have that many friends. It is what it is. I like the Canon, but the Canon does terrible video. Maybe the new one, but it's way more expensive. I mean, it does short video, but this one will do longer video. The Canons, of course, I have an older Canon. It's like 20 minutes and then it overheats. Yeah, like this is what I use for me right now. Something like this. I think I use like this first one. That's like $500. You could do that. Anyways, or maybe it's this one actually. I don't know. One of these. One of the top row ones. Guys, get that. And thank you guys again. Thank you for those who want to become members. That's awesome. I'm going to probably do like a members only stream, or if we ever have any streams where like I say something inappropriate and I don't want it like out there, we'll make it members only. I mean, I would say that, okay, look, this is the thing about really beautiful young men and women. Really beautiful men, young men. They think everybody is nice and friendly. They really believe everybody wants to help other people. They believe that. Like when I met my husband, everybody was so nice to him. Everywhere he went, people wanted to know his name and everything because he was a very cute young man. And it's like everybody wants to talk to you, right? Oh my God. And they kind of live in a fantasy world until they get older. And if they get broke or something like that, then they realize what life really is like. It's not that great for most of us. But then young, beautiful women know, because they see it immediately, that people will destroy their relationships, their lives, their marriages, their children's lives for them. So they see the evil in the world very, very, very young, right? And that's the difference between beautiful young men and beautiful young women, right? The beautiful young men can age out of that if they don't get any money. And then they start to realize, oh, not everybody's nice. People are not as nice as when I was young. And then the beautiful young women, they know immediately how evil people can be and how people can lie to other people's faces and manipulate people. So that's why beautiful women, really, really, really beautiful women, I kind of understand why they become so narcissistic, because they realize everyone is a liar. Like, I mean, of course, that's selection bias. Those are the people who are going up to them. They're usually, if you have the balls to go up to like the top 1% woman that's gorgeous, you're probably wealthy, you probably have a lot of excess confidence for some reason. So I'm not saying like every guy that hits on them is going to be like an evil dude, but I'm saying like most of the people who go and hit on them are probably going to be like liars and cheaters and manipulators. So like that's what they're going to think the world is. So to cope, they either get depressed or they become someone who manipulates the manipulators. Because if that's the world that you grow up in, that's what you think everything is. So like, I understand why beautiful women are like that. And I also understand like if a beautiful woman isn't as intelligent and doesn't really know that, like doesn't really pay attention, because there are some naive people in this world and maybe they get hit on and they don't even think, oh, I think that was his wife, or I think those are his kids, or, you know, like they don't put two and two together. Then they'll kind of like be like, everybody's nice to me too. So a naive, beautiful woman, it is rare. It is, but it happens. Yeah, I definitely think there's something to the crazy hot scale. And we will free him someday, but today is not that day. Anyways, have a great night, you guys. I'm going to cook dinner and I will see you all next time. Thank you all for those who became members. Like, subscribe, and share. And yeah. Bye.
The old gods whisper tongues of sin. They crawl through culture to pull you in. Don't be for sale, don't wear their grin. The old are rotten. glass. They promised youth, they cursed your past. You drank the lie with ruby lips, but every toast is one